Times are messed up, and everyone's feeling it. That's fine. Kind of just wish that we could be on our own private islands, picking fruits, and just making millions of monies that way. We don't have a private island, can't do that. But one thing that we do have is a box full of junk and nowhere to go, including the hardware store. So we decided to make something out of a box of random stuff that we collected over time, thinking at one point, we'll make something out of this, because we were British in the past. I mean, it was all bits and bobs, really.
Yeah, it's like scraps from old projects.
Or like Michael's clearance items.
Right, yeah, like, oh man, we'll never have an opportunity to get this at this price again. And, you know.
And we didn't.
No.
The items we selected were an industrial lampshade, a cake stand, and what else?
I mean, that was
basically
the core of it, pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, then there was the little switch, the plug switchy thing. I don't even know what it's called. Wires, which I had.
Right. And then eventually a bulb.
Frankly, we only pulled like 3 or 4 items out of this box. The rest was just kind of stuff we had lying around.
Yeah. We're making UFO-inspired lights using the lampshade as the domed ship and the cake stand as the underside and the abduction hole. The lampshade was black and the cake stand was silver. I was like, man, I actually would really want the top to match the cake stand so that it kind of looks like one piece. I could see at the top that there was like a few chips in this black paint that the shade was covered in. It looked like it was silver underneath, so I was like, man, I could just take the paint off. At first I was like, how am I gonna get all this paint off? We don't really have many materials here. I looked online and boiling water seemed like it would do the trick, so we boiled a bunch of water and tried to get it off, and it like sort of started to work, but it really was not as extreme as some of these bloggers were telling me on the internet. It was like deceiving though.
It made you hopeful because there was like black particulate in the water.
Yes, it made us very hopeful that it was working, but it was really not working nearly fast enough or well enough. So I already had plan B and plan C, but I thought that I would not even get to plan B. Plan B was, I'll, give the piece a little scrubby scrub with paint thinner, and that will just really, it'll come off pretty easily because it's, chemicals. But no, that also was a pain in the butt. As I'm scouring using paint thinner to try to get this shiz off, Tate's going down an internet rabbit hole about how much cancer I'm going to have. This whole process of scrubbing the paint off with paint thinner was probably the stupidest thing that I have done in crafts, but it probably won't be the last stupid thing I do in crafts because of all the brain cells that I obliterated from doing this. So if you want to stop watching me do something dangerous, you should skip to time code. Insert time code here.
Yeah, because it turns out paint thinner is super toxic. You have to dispose of the rags. You have to go to a freaking hazardous waste disposal.
It seems like an ordeal that we're not going to get to for a while.
Yeah.
Just hid them away. I don't even know where you put them.
I put them away. They're safe.
Okay.
Everything's safe, probably.
All right. 2 pairs of gloves and 8 hours of scouring later, I still couldn't get to the end, but I just decided to give up at that point because everything hurt and I was sad. So what can we do to make this look more like UFO? Started with some Sharpies and smeared them. Tried some acrylic paints. That just kind of came off. I sectioned it off, not evenly, didn't measure. Who cares? Tried some metallic Sharpies and they were kind of working out. Tried to do little portholes, fill them in with some acrylic paint, didn't really work. Drew little scenes inside the portholes. I was like, that's pretty bomb. And then I painted over and smeared immediately, so that was great. The paint that ended up working the best was actually nail polish. I actually have a lot of nail polish. I'm not very good at painting nails. I actually really don't do very much, but that seemed to really work. I just kept painting a lot with nail polish around these portholes. Had a little alien guy in there somewhere. Kind of painted over him too, though. So it's a little creepy. This time lapse makes it look like I had any idea of what I was doing or even trying to do. It was a lot of trial and error. Actually, mostly error. Eventually, I just kind of landed on a distressed UFO. I took the black paint that was really bothering me and tried to cover it up with some like bronze or like brownish color. And I was like, this is space rust, you know? And then moved on to the bottom, the cake stand, which was like the bottom plate of the UFO, like the saucery part, I guess. I painted the whole beam, quote unquote, with like an iridescent nail polish and then tried to spray inside with like a warmer copper paint. That leaked out. So the bottom of this UFO is real rusty. But as you can see to the right, there are quite a few nail polishes in play here. I really should have been more popular at sleepovers. The last thing that I added was little white highlights, which was a mistake, I think, because it just kind of looks like space bird crap on the windows.
So Autumn comes in with this like super cool, like distressed, spacey, awesome UFO thing. It looks super cool, and she's all like sad and bummed about it because why would you want to be happy about what you've done? I thought it looked really cool, and I was ready to start doing the wiring and stuff. So there was going to be 2 wires running out of this thing, and at first, the first thing I did is I drilled a hole through the center because that was going to house the main light socket that was going to be in the beam of the cake stand. I found the center with a technique that I Googled, and it's just you have a line segment and then a right angle coming out of the center of that line segment. You trace a line along that piece coming out at a right angle. You just kind of go around and do it a couple times, and where those lines intersect is the center of the circle. That worked out okay. I had to pull out the, like, I don't know what this part is called. It's like a socket wire clampy plastic piece. I don't have any more, and we're not going out to buy anything for this project, so I had to steal one from one of our currently up lights.
Wait, what light did you take it from?
Oh yeah, I took it from this light right here. It's gonna be fine. Don't worry about it. Everything's fine. A bunch of these beams of lights don't have those anyways, but this one like needed that part because there was gonna be a bunch of weight on the socket. Like the socket is gonna be holding up the whole thing. I needed to have something that would clamp to the cable so that all the weight of the light wasn't on like the wiring connections for the socket, which wouldn't have been very safe. And that ended up working. Drilling a hole in this galvanized metal was kind of annoying. The bigger I got with the bit, the more it would kind of like just start like ripping and tearing the metal. It's kind of stopped making a clean hole as I got up to the larger bit sizes, and I was like, oh, like I can't go much bigger than this. But that was fine. It just, all it really meant is that the light bulb is going to stick out the bottom a bit, but whatever. So after I had the socket, I was like, oh yeah, this works. It's in, and it's going to hold it up. It's got the plastic doodad on it. It's going to be great. And we wanted to have LEDs on it because that would be cool. And I had like a poop ton of LEDs. This is the part where I had to do math because I have to figure out how much these LEDs pull or whatever. You have to like calculate the voltage of the LEDs based off of the voltage of the power source. And the power source is a 12-volt power source. After doing math, I realized that that meant that every circuit of LEDs could have 4 LEDs per circuit, unless I wanted to use a resistor. I didn't want to have to deal with using a resistor. That meant that we could only use multiples of 4 for our LEDs, because we're keeping it easy here.
Resistors are futile.
That's good. That should be a t-shirt, picture of a resistor with like some sort of Star Wars imagery. I don't know.
Star Wars. Oof. Star Trek. That's boring. Not a true fan. Not a true fan.
I'm so sorry.
It's fine. I don't get upset at people who like Star Wars and Star Trek because I am one of those people.
I appreciate that.
Not better, just different.
I think that's a good way to be. Why do you gotta pick one star? I want both the stars, the Treks and the Wars. So yeah, I have multiples of 4 LEDs, so that meant 8. We got 8 LEDs. That was how it was gonna be. So I had to drill a bunch of holes for those, and that was easy because once again, those were small holes, so that was kind of no problem. Put in the little LEDs, and it seemed to work. I started wiring those. I was like, ooh, you know what'll be so easy? Instead of having to cut little tiny pieces of wire, I'll just use the solder to connect the LEDs. It'll work, right? There's probably not a reason that people don't do this. There is. There's a reason people don't do this. It's because it doesn't work. Because as soon as I brought the soldering iron in to try and like melt the solder to the LED, it just like broke the line because it just melted. So I had to cut wires. Just using the solder as the connection wasn't going to work. I had little wires and then soldered that bish bash boosh. And I tested it out and it didn't work at first. And I was like, wow, I really screwed up this whole thing. And I was like, am I going to have to go and check the polarity of like every single LED that I did here? That's going to blow. I don't have like a voltmeter or whatever, that like piece of hardware with the little poker thingies that you use to like figure out the polarity. Whatever that thing's called. I don't have one of them. Turns out that I had the polarity wrong on the little connector thing at the end of the wire, and I just had to flip that and it worked, and I had actually done the wiring correctly. And then I could just kind of get in like full blown like, all right, now I'm gonna solder all the things and tape all the things. I'm keeping all these lines like on the spool. I'm not like cutting any of these yet, because my plan is that once we get it up on the wall, that's when I'm gonna do all the snipping and the cutting of all the stuff. I had like all the cables already running through the like top piece, so I could easily just slide it on. The last wiring thing I had to do is I zip tied the cables together with slack on the LED cable so that it wouldn't tug on it. What do we do next?
The cow.
The cow. Autumn had the awesome idea to have a cow hanging down. She has this like string of LEDs. They have cows on them. You know, they're like little novelty party lights. They're great. They're super cute. So we pulled one of those cows off of that. We're going to hang it. And we're going to use fishing line. And our plan was to cut 3 holes in like the saucer cake stand portion. Then string up the 3 pieces of fishing line down to the cow. And we're going to secure it to the cow by just like tying it to a toothpick and just straight up just sticking that toothpick in there. And I wanted to test it, you know, because I didn't want to because tying the freaking fishing line is really annoying with my little sausage fingers. We did
Beef fingers.
Beef fingers. Yeah, it's more accurate. I mean, you got to get the kosher all beef hot dogs. Like you can't. I don't need pork in my hot dogs. Come on. Anyways, so my sausage fingers were able to tie one of them. Sorry, my beef fingers. Sorry, my Hebrew National fingers were able to tie.
It's not for Hebrew National, but if you want to
oh my God,
sponsor us.
Hebrew National, if you want to sponsor our videos, like you can just send us packages of hot dogs and we'll advertise. Like here's our number and my social security number, and please. Okay. Anyways, so where was I? Yeah, toothpick. So I used my beef hands. I used my things. I tied the thing onto the pick, and then I was like, all right, you know, I'm gonna be real smart. I'm gonna test this out and make sure that it's gonna work and fit. So I did. I put it in, and I was like, wow, this is great. It's totally gonna work. Oh, but now I can't get the toothpick out. And we both tried for like 20 minutes to get that frickin' toothpick out, and it is impossible. I mean, it's possible, but it was impossible. At that moment, we didn't take it out. We just tied the other 2 strings to a second toothpick, and now there's just 2 toothpicks in there, and it works great. So it actually worked really well. And then we put the fishing line up through the top and just taped it, just freaking taped it up there, and it stays. It's great, and it's super easy to adjust. And then we just put the top onto the bottom, onto the cake stand, and that's it. We didn't actually like glue it or anything. Non-committal. Yeah. Even if the whole thing were to get inverted, the cable is running through the center, and the cable would hold it all in place. Like, it's not like that lid's gonna go anywhere. I mean, it could get like off-seated. It's gonna be fine. So then it was on to setting it up and putting it on the thing, right? That was it. Like that, it was built once the cow was on there. Till the cows go home or something. I don't know how to use that phrase. How does that phrase even? The cows come home? But what is the context that you'd even use that phrase?
You know who probably knows when the cows come home?
Who?
The makers of Hebrew National.
They probably do. Hebrew National. I bet you do, Mr. National, Mrs. National. I don't know.
Anyway.
God, we're gonna have to cut so much of this. So yeah, we're gonna rig it on the wall. So we already have a shelf bracket rigged up on the wall. We have a little plant. Took down our precious plant. We hung up the thing. It just kind of the cable is just kind of wrapped around the top, and then it goes down through the hole and then down the wall. It's not really secured in any way besides friction, because it's wrapped around enough times, and like the cable is weird enough that it just kind of stays up, and like It's fine. The thing is held up by friction, and the top is secured via gravity. We're flying loose here. We're using the force. We're using our metachlorians. So once that was up, you know, we're like, okay, cool, looks pretty good. We liked the height. We were then able to actually figure out the length of the cable. That was the moment that we cut the cable. We were measured, and it was 69 inches that we needed to make the pipe. No reason to snicker at that. Cut the pipe using the little pipe cutter. So with the pipe cut, we were able to slippy slide put all the cable through it, and then secure the pipe to the wall. The only pipe bracket thingy I had was from this component. I have no idea what the actual application of this little copper doodad is, but I pulled off the top thing to attach the pipe to the wall, and that worked. It looks a little janky, but it's fine. It works. I mean, it's up there. It's secure. I mean, it's like not going to go anywhere. Like the worst thing that happens is it falls to the ground and breaks our things and our bodies. So there was 2 cables coming down. One that needed to be run at 12 volts DC, and one that was just going to be run off normal 120 volt AC. The way I was going to do that was just with 2 plugs, because I have an old 12 volt converter that I stole from our Beams of Light project because we never use the little LED backlight thing. So I just snipped that again. So our Blu-ray player DC power converter is coming in clutch here in this project. We had like a little plug switchy thing that was going to be the on-off switch. And the idea was that I would have a cube tap into that, and then both the plugs into that. But the fun thing is that the switch was just 2-prong and the cube taps was 3-prong. So I had to use a cheater to get it from 3 to 2, you know, get rid of that grounding thing, whatever it's called. And then we had this like big kind of weird plug contraption. And it's the only way we can make it work to have the LEDs and the normal light socket. So we're just gonna cover it up, put a little coffee table over it, and we kind of have to reach underneath the table to click on the light, but that's not a big deal because the primary use of this light is as a reading light. So you'll probably be sitting down at that chair right next to the coffee table anyways. So I just had to cut and solder those things to the things, and that was it. So yeah, we did it. We made a thing. It actually looks really cool. Autumn is finally happy with it. It took her the entire production of it, but she's finally actually happy with it. I think it looks super rad.
Coming around. Tate's right. I came at this with a ton of angst, but Tate really transformed this project and lifted it up with the LEDs and all the additions that they made to the project. Damn, it looks really fun. It has a tilt to it, and that's cool. You can sit under it bisexually and feel like you are totally sitting normal. I don't know if that applies to everyone, but it applies to us. I would also 100% revisit this project or this concept in general, especially when we have access to things like paint and other materials. That'd be pretty cool. Let us know what you think about UFOs or lights or UFO lights, or don't. I mean, it's no pressure. All right, friends, villagers, thanks for watching. Pound the subscribe button, please. And if you hit a thumbs up, that'd be great. If you hit a thumbs down, man, we will think about it for days and be sad, like for a long time. And if you're already subscribed, thank you. I'm just gonna let this end now.